Hello, I'm here to show you the latest MonsoonSIM Crisis. I've set up a course and shared with everyone and have put it in course others, and these are the independent courses. Take a look at the list and you will see that I have just loaded this course. And how did I load it? I just went here and clicked load configuration and therefore the color. Before I run this course, I'd like to show you about this course. It involves 8 modules. In general module, I have set up the financial crisis and the attributes. I've also set up the local currency as Thailand baht. I have changed the name of the vendor from VFG1 to vendor I and stands for importer. And I have changed VFG2 vendor to vendor L, which stands for local. I have allowed using credit limit. I've changed my client from what is existing to Walmart's. And I've also created a second client called Target Incorporation. This vendor is an importer and these two clients are exporter. I've also turned on accrual accounting. And to make it simple, we have disabled the holiday. Here is the overall flow for this course. We will have retail store set up and we will buy product from our vendors who are importers, and we will ship the product to our retail store and we will sell our product through retail stores to the consumers. Then we are going to have a warehouse which allow us to sell to the B2B client, the exporters, through a sales order, and then we will fulfill by buying and ship the goods to the client. We could also ship from our retail store, of course. Then we can also simulate the buying and selling through e-commerce to our warehouse, as well as our retail store. We can also ship product to and from our warehouse to our retail stores. That is the overall flow in this particular scenario. About the crisis, which is the main topic of this course, you can change the Forex, the exchange rate between US dollar and Thailand baht. You can also change your interest rates. You can also change the inflation when the crisis hits, brings about the change in transportation costs, change in demand, and change in the receivable day. Now, there's also start day, which allows you to set when does the crisis start. It could start in the middle of the game, at the end of the game, or whichever day you decide to start the crisis. Then there is a recovery model. There are various recovery models which also dictates the duration of the crisis. Then there is when to notify learners. Now you can totally hide these changes from the learners and let them discover it when they operate their companies. Now you can also let them see it in advance so that they know, okay, so on day 15 there will be a crisis. So for beginners, you may want to just show them so that they can be prepared. You can also change maybe one day after the crisis, then it will show up in their forecast, or you can set it 2 days after the crisis or 4 days after the crisis. Or you can do it, as I said earlier, you can do it as soon as possible. Here are the recovery models. It could be a V-shaped recovery, it could be a U-shaped recovery, it could be a W-shape or an L-shape. And each will determine the duration of the crisis. These are the impacts. If you have a change in foreign exchange, then all purchases in foreign currency will get affected. as well as all sales in foreign currency will get affected. If you have a change in inflation, then the vendor prices will be affected, as well as the e-commerce market price. If you have a change in demand, then retail sales demand as well as B2B will get affected. Interest rate means that your loan will get affected plus your overdraft. Change in transportation costs, change in transport means that transportation costs will get affected. AR delay means that your client's ability to pay off debt has now been degraded. Suppose you want to start with a very simple crisis. Let's call it a major flood that is happening to your city or to your country. So what happened? So you can do change in the inflation, because during the flood, certain things are very expensive. Change in transportation, you can also set it. And of course, change in the receivables. So that's a simple crisis which you can set, and you probably want to set it as a V-shaped recovery. Then there is another scenario, just as an example, let's call it tight money policy by your government, is that your government are raising the interest rate, which means that they are demanding everyone will start saving instead of spending. So the interest rate will go up significantly, and the receivable delays will also increase. So that's a tight money policy crisis. You can set it V-shape or W-shape or U-shape. It's up to you. Then there is my personal favorite, which is 1997 Asian financial crisis. And I've set it as a U-shape, although some may say that it's an L-shape. In this crisis, all of these are affected. Forex, inflation, change in demand, change in interest rate, change in transportation, and change in receivable delays. Here is one example of the forecast chart that you will see in MonsoonSIM when it hits. So before the crisis, here's the retail demand, and after the crisis happens, it drops significantly. Same thing with the wholesale demand. Interest rate. Now suppose you have a loan outstanding 100,000 Thai baht, and currently it's 1.2% plus the base rate, maybe so it's 2.2%. So you're paying interest expense of 20,000. When it hits, it became 3.85%. So now your interest expense suddenly jumps. So that is what the student will experience if a sudden increase or a crisis. For inflation, suppose you have two vendors, vendor I for importer and vendor L for local. Now here are the prices. That's before crisis. Now crisis hits, and look at what happened. For the importer, they will still charge you pretty much the same amount as they did before, because to them it doesn't affect them. But for the local one, they are raising the price significantly. So importer price do not change much, local price will be affected. This will impact your cost of goods sold for sure. Changes in the shipment fee. This is what happened. On day 7, your shipment fee is only 7,000 baht, but when it happens, it became 21,000 baht. And this will affect B2B shipment as well as moving stocks from and to warehouse and retail store. Changes in receivables. Let's say you have a receivable and its actually payment terms is only 5 days. Because of the crisis, now look what happened. It had dragged on to 19 days. So this will affect particularly to those clients with a low credit ratings, such as BBB and below. Let's have an example of import. 1,000 units of melon juice or apple juice. Here's the price, $8 US dollars. So in total, your price is 8,630 US dollars. On day 7, the goods are delivered and the foreign exchange at that moment is 1.39. So you have booked into your account, you need to pay 11,996 Thai baht. However, on day 10, the crisis hits, and on day 12, when you settle the payment, you are already looking at a foreign exchange of 5.92. So $1 becomes 5.92. So what happened now? You need to pay this much and this much Thai baht. What will happen then is that the difference is this amount of money, and it means that you suffer a forex loss of 39,094 Thai baht. Cop up more Thai baht in order to settle the payment. Another example is export. Now suppose you have signed a deal for 50,000 units of apple juice, and your deal price is 16.27 US dollars. So the total deal price is 813,500 US dollars. So for the client, they expect to pay you in US dollars, 800,000. Now, when you deliver the goods, you book into your account, and at that moment, let's call it 1.39, and therefore you book into your account 1.1 million Thai baht. However, crisis hits on day 10, and on day 12, the forex has become 5.92, and look at what happened. You have suddenly made so much more Thai baht because your local currency has dropped significantly. Remember, your local currency is all based on Thai baht. So what happened then? The difference is 3.5 million. That goes straight into your other income, forex gain. So that is crisis and the impacts of crisis. So let's have a look. So let's see how MonsoonSIM implements this. As you can see, I'm now in the course, and I have selected Asian financial crisis, and I've loaded. So let's see what are the settings that I have got now. First of all, I can see the crisis allow has been set to yes. Good. Looking at the sub-parameters, the crisis title is Asian financial crisis, which I can change it to say COVID or global financial crisis, or it's just a major flood. And the crisis starts on day 10, and the crisis will be shown to the learner as soon as possible. Now, let's read this. It says that how many days before the crisis is reflected in learner's forecast. If it is set to as soon as possible, then the crisis will show up from day 0. If it is set to day 2, then the crisis will be shown forecast 2 days after it starts. So this is how lenient do you want to be with your student. If you want to give them as much notice as possible, then set it as soon as possible. Otherwise, set it to 1, 2, 3, 4 days after it happens. And here's the crisis recovery. We have V shape, and then we have U shape, and then we have W shape and L shape. And this will determine the duration of the crisis. So U shape is typical maybe 20 days, and V shape will probably be about 5 days, and W will be almost about 30 days, and L shape probably is longer. Next, we'll look at the crisis attributes. Here we have set interest rate to be up, retail demand down, inflation up, wholesale or B2B demand down, transport cost up, forex up, this foreign exchange up, right? And then account receivable delay is up. You can always change it here from here. Okay, so now that we have all this set up, I'm going to run the game. All right, let's have a look. As a learner, I will first go to my retail location and set up a store. I've set up in Bangkok, and let's just wait. All right, so Bangkok's in. Now I'm going to try to show you what are the impact of crisis towards our cost of goods sold. So currently is day 4, And as you can see, the importer vendor is still charging me 0.38 US dollar versus the local vendor charging me 15 Thai baht. They are about the same based on today's exchange rate, all right? 0.4 US dollar to 15 Thai baht. That is before the crisis hits. Now, if you look at the exchange rate, all right, so currently we're on day 7. So we are right here, and you can see the breaking news already happening, right? There are news around that saying that Asian financial crisis is predicted to happen soon. Okay, so let's just wait until it happens. Day 9. Day 10. All right, market crashes. So let's see what happened if we buy. Look at how our local vendor has raised their price. It was 15 baht and now they have raised it to 42. But the importer are still demanding right about the same, 0.38 US dollars. So the importer doesn't get affected, only the local vendors are affected. Okay, so that is what happened to our cost of goods sold. Next, I'm going to show you what happened to our foreign exchange gain or foreign exchange loss. I'm going to reset the game and try again. Same thing, I'm coming here, location, set up a store in Bangkok. Now I'm going to retail and buy finished goods to Bangkok. And I'm going to buy from importer, vendor I, 1,000 units of apple juice using credit. So there I have it, $380. Now, if I were to approve it, let's say on day 7 or 8, and I have 5-day terms of payment, so there is a difference between my book rate and my settlement rate. So now let's suppose I approve this, and there you go. The goods has come in, and I do have a booking of 1,000 units of apple juice on day 7 based on the rate of 31 Thai baht per dollar. So now I have to pay, so based on $380, I have to pay 11,000 Thai baht. Remember, the vendor doesn't care about Thai baht. All he wants is $380, right? Because they are an importer, they want it in US dollars. Now, upon settlement day, unfortunately, the rate, because of crisis, has jumped from 31 baht to 71 baht. And because of this reason, I have to pay a lot more because I need to spend that much money more in order to pay the vendor. So there is a difference. Now, where does the difference go? The difference will go to my other income loss. That's what happened to me if I do not get the timing correct. You can check it out from the various table. For example, you look at the cash on hand. You can see your PO, for example, and you can see that much money being booked also on foreign gain or loss. All right, so you can reconcile these numbers. So that is import. Now let's show you the export. Let's run again. Now I'm going to go to warehouse and get a location set up. I'm going to just use Bangkok for 1,000 meters. And immediately I'm going to go for a deal, B2B. Let's say I'm going to sell melon juice export, and I'm going to grab this deal Okay, I got it. So this is the amount that I stand to gain. I'm going to allocate it out of Bangkok, 71,500 unit. So I'm going to buy from a local vendor, ship to Bangkok. I'm going to get melon juice for, let's say, 80,000. That should be enough. I'm going to use cash. Okay, so now I'm waiting for my goods to come in and my sales order to be fulfilled. So good. Looks like I have the goods has come in and it has been allocated 79,500. All good. So now I have shipped it, and let's take a look at what happened to my finance. I hope it has arrived to the customer. There you go. So now I have receivables. Good. So on day 9, I have booked my receivable of 47,000 US dollars based on exchange rate of $31. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, the crisis hits. So now, if I look at the exchange rate during my settlement day, I should gain a lot of money because my local currency just dropped a lot. So let's see. Day 14, it is settled, and my exchange rate has risen to 66, almost double. So which means that now, in terms of local currency, Thai baht, I've gained a lot because I'm receiving these US dollars. So when I change back to Thai baht, then I get a lot of income in terms of other income, 1.6 million. So I hope that shows the impact of crisis towards our business.